Hi everyone, it's Brenda with Happy Healthy Homemade, and today we're going to be unboxing and making my first couple recipes with the Costco Vitamix E320. Where I live in British Columbia, they can recycle soft plastics. I'm just packing this flat to be conscientious to my neighbors. I really appreciate that there's so much cardboard packaging, which is recyclable. My initial thoughts before using it are, I like that this is low profile because we do have a small kitchen. So this is going to store away much easier than my last Vitamix, which was about that tall. This is really interesting to me. The number one thing we had made was personal smoothies before, and I've tried using a very small blender, which we gave away when we moved, and an immersion blender, but I'm excited to use these because these are a perfect size for most of the servings that we're gonna do. There's a little warning here that really wants me to read the manual, so I'll probably have to go get that. Next step is to throw this all in the dishwasher. While that's being dishwashed, I'm gonna prep some items for a couple of our recipes. First, I'm gonna roast some pumpkin seeds for pumpkin seed butter.
Next, I'm going to prepare our ingredients for dosa batter.
I've prepared 2 cups of rice that I have rinsed and covered with water to soak. Now I'm adding a ½ cup of urad dal. I will also give this a rinse. I've covered it with water, and now I'm going to add a teaspoon of fenugreek. Smells so good. Now I'm going to let these soak. Today is the next day, the Vitamix is clean, and it's time to put my recipes to the test. The first thing I'm going to make is my protein smoothie. I'm gonna do a ¼ cup of wild blueberries, 2 scoops of protein. This is a dairy-free protein powder, 2 teaspoons of Dutch cocoa powder. Now I'm going to fill it up with water and blend it. There is a pulse option on the side, as well as a dial for the amount of power and a constant on button. Let's try the pulse button. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. It's very quiet. That was fast. Let's have a taste. Oh, I think I'm supposed to use the cap. Hold on. Okay, so this also twists on. The wall of the blender unit is too thick to drink out of without spilling. It's nice that they provided the lid. I like that the lip has a little flat section. It looked pretty well blended, but it's actually still a little bit chunky. I'd probably blend this a little bit further next time. Right, I gave the adapter unit a little rinse, and now we're going to make some pumpkin seed butter. I'm gonna dry this off. Now this attachment is definitely not lightweight. It is a big honkin' adapter. It's not as easy as I thought it would be to swap things out in between. I'm also trying to make sure I get this very dry because extra moisture will not be good for the pumpkin seed butter. Okay, that looks good. I've got 2 cups of pumpkin seeds that I roasted yesterday and cooled off. The manual did say not to put hot soups in these personal size containers, so that is one thing to note. I'm gonna add a little bit of neutral oil. Now let's blend it up. Looks like it needs a little bit of a shake. Well, this is definitely not comparable to a food processor. Just gonna open it up and press some of the contents down. Oh yeah, everything is just stuck to the top here. Smells amazing. Let's just give that a little bit of a press. While we have this open, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Here we go for round 2. It tends to keep moving at the slower speed versus when I crank it all the way up, it forms into a solid around the edge and then I have to resituate everything. Things still appear to be moving around at this low speed. I think that might be the way to go. I say that and then I crank it up to see what happens. It's starting to look very thick now, but it's not creamy yet. If we keep going, it'll turn creamy. Here we go again. Gotta do this quickly. Wow, I am pleasantly surprised by how that turned out. This is super creamy. It did take a little bit of finagling to get all the parts of the seeds to contact the blender, but the result is phenomenal. So now I'm just gonna pour it into a jar so that we can use it all week. It has such a wonderful roasted seed flavor, and the pumpkin seed is so creamy and nutty. For folks who can't have nuts or peanut butter, this is a great option. It's also very expensive if you buy it in the store, and it's much cheaper to get pumpkin seeds by themselves. I love the bright green color. I think it's so fun. I just wanted to make sure that I got all those lovely little bits of pumpkin seed butter out from the blades. It wasn't that easy. It's not like a food processor in that respect where you can lift things out and it's easy to scoop things. So I do think that a small rubber or silicone spatula with a long handle would be really handy here. And next time I think I would make more than just 2 cups, because 2 cups of pumpkin seeds turned into 1 cup of pumpkin seed butter. And in my opinion, this tastes much better than the expensive store-bought kind. It's seasoned to my taste. I like a salty nut or seed butter. It's very fresh tasting. It doesn't have any of those rancid oils that sometimes seed or nut butters can pick up from being on the shelf for too long. I'm excited because the one I got in the store was already sweetened, and I can sweeten this to my liking. I'm probably going to put it on a slice of toast with some maple syrup. Last but not least, I'm going to make batter for dosas. I've got my rice that I soaked yesterday. I'm just gonna strain it and then add it back to the Vitamix.
In retrospect, I wish I had not thrown out that water. It contained a lot of helpful yeast, so next time I would reserve it and use it to thin out the batter.
Now I'm going to add a cup of water. And I've got my stepped plunger in case we need to move things around. Here we go. Checking that my blender's on the lowest setting, turning it on. Wow, that was surprisingly fast. Wow. Oh my God, it smells amazing. It has the fragrant smell of fresh rice. Oh my gosh. It almost smells like coconut. It just has that fresh, cooling smell. It's still a little bit grainy, so I'm gonna let it go further.
Some online recipes recommend blending the rice and lentils separately to get a smoother batter.
But I actually think this blender can handle everything together, so now I'm going to add the lentils. This has a very grassy, earthy, kind of planty smell. It smells like a fresh mowed lawn. Not in a bad way. It doesn't smell like gasoline. It just smells like freshly cut grass. So here's my soaked and strained urad dal. And I'm gonna add water. I'm actually just gonna start with a ½ cup because we've got plenty of liquid here. And I can always thin out the batter later. Here we go again. Wow, it's now like a thick paste, almost like a Frosty. When was the last time you had one of those? I am gonna add a little bit more water because I think we can afford to here. Wow, this thing is so powerful. Now we've got a very thick paste consistency. It's very even. The batter is a little thick for my liking. I'm going to thin it out just a little bit to make sure that it's a little bit more pourable for the final dosa. Okay, that looks right to me now. But we can always adjust when it's time to cook the dosa too. Now I'm just gonna let that ferment. I'll see you when this is nice and bubbly. It's the next day and our dosa batter is ready. We have a lot of little bubbles around the sides. It didn't rise as much as I thought it was going to, but that's okay. Maybe I added a little bit too much water. It has a lovely, fragrant aroma. It's very hard to describe this smell. It smells a little bit like horchata from the rice, and it has a little bit of an earthy smell from the lentils. It smells very cool and fresh. Oh, and it's got such a lovely fuzzy sound when you mix it up. Oh my gosh, there are so many bubbles. I can't wait to cook this up. I've got my cast iron pan preheating, and I've also got my fish spatula ready, my dosa batter, and my ladle. This ladle has a nice little scoop where I can be accurate about the pour, and I like using the back to flatten out the dosa. The fish spatula helps to get underneath the dosa and make a clean flip when it releases from the pan. In terms of a pan, I don't have a flat iron pan to do this with, so I just use a 10-inch cast iron, and I make my dosas a little bit smaller. I wish you could see how bubbly this is. It looks like a soda. It's so fluffy too. So I take a big scoop into the middle of the pan. You don't want to use too much oil before you pour the batter in the pan because that will make it hard to spread the batter. But I will add some oil to the top of this. I was a little bit afraid of getting the salt to the wrong ratio in the batter, which is hard to fix, so I'm gonna salt each dosa as we go. We'll know when it's ready to release and flip when the edges start to peel away from the pan just a little bit. Right now we've got some beautiful bubbling forming. The bottom is now looking golden brown. You can see it through the air bubbles, and I'm just gonna test the edges a little bit here. First flip, wow, it's got a beautiful golden color, and I think we have achieved a crispy texture. Beautiful. Wow, these are absolutely beautiful. Let's take a bite. Oh my gosh, these are amazing. They're not gritty at all. They're a great balance between crispy and fluffy. Wow, these would be great wrapped around potatoes or really any kind of filling. Okay, final thoughts on the Vitamix. In terms of power, 100. We have an incredibly smooth pumpkin seed butter that blended up very quickly. Today it is still emulsified and creamy. I had it on my toast this morning. Absolutely delicious and creamy. The dosa batter also, as a result of the high power of the Vitamix, blended up very quickly and became a smooth, silky texture almost instantly. As far as personal blending goes, this would not be my top recommendation if all you're making is personal size smoothies. I think a much more affordable personal size blender would be more convenient because the adapter for this blender is unwieldy. It's heavy, it's difficult to clean, and it drips when you screw and unscrew it. So not a strong recommendation for that application, but if you want a blender for other cooking purposes that also has a personal container option, this is good. And finally, I am extremely impressed with how Vitamix has improved the design from the last Vitamix that I had until now. I was thinking, how could this be any different than the Vitamix I bought in 2014? Well, it is dramatically different. One of the big changes is the design of the container along with the motor. The dial is a completely stepless experience, which means that it's a smooth transition when you turn it up. I don't know how they do that. If there is a microcomputer or if it's just a stepless adjustment to the motor. And when you crank it up to the higher levels, the design of the blender has a whirling motion. And what that does is it collects a lot of the material along the sides and brings it into the blend. So whereas before with our old Vitamix, we often had to stop blending and then scrape down the sides, with the Dosa batter, I did not have to do any scraping. It was incredible. But the fact that you don't have to take the lid off and scrape down the sides, even with a thicker batter, is very impressive. It cuts down on the blending time dramatically. 2 thumbs up for the Costco E320 Vitamix. If you want more gluten-free recipes, don't forget to ring the bell, smash the like button, and leave a comment. I'll see you next time. Enjoy. You've already got a dog hair on it.